So hello everyone, welcome here for a little pre-race show to round number 4 of the iRacing.com Prototype and GT Challenge here at Sebring International Raceway. I am Josh Mertz, alongside me Randy Chenowth for the Automotive Sports Network. We're starting a bit earlier here this week so we can get a little bit of a pre-race talk going on before warm-up begins. We are here at the Sebring International Raceway today. It is a proper race course, as you could say that the other tracks that we were at weren't, although they were, but that's debatable. This is a 3.74 mile, 17-turn racetrack, and before I let you talk, Randy, we are going to go to our track guide. So here is a lap in the HPD at Sebring. Welcome to Sebring International Raceway for your track guide. Here in the HPD ARX 01C, you go down the main straightaway into turn 1, you go 160 miles an hour. On the far left side, you want to make the curb, but I missed the apex, and you exit the runway. You run into turn number 2, which isn't a turn. You want to brake hard for turns 3 and 4 as you slip around the very slippery section of the course. Turn number 5, you want to hit that curve on the outside underneath the bridge around Big Bend. Turn number 6, about 150 miles an hour. Underneath the Mobile 1 bridge, you're at 155. Brake at the third cone for the hairpin. Turn 7, you want to get all that curb. Hit on the gas really early to get your exit out for the Fangio chicane. Turns 8 and 9. It's flat out here. And for turn number 10, Cunningham Corner, you want to brake really late to try and rotate the car to hit the apex. For turn 10 or 11, Collier. Turn number 12, you want to hit the brakes really hard. For turn 13, Tower Turn, you want to hit the apex, don't hit the grass on the outside, or the dirt rather. And turn 14, Bishop Bend, you want to hit the curb at the double apex corner. You want to get all you can for turn number 15. And this sector is really important because turn 16, Lamar Corner, you want to run on the outside there to get the apex because you need to get all the speed you can down the Ullman Straight. It's a very long straightaway, the longest straightaway here at Sebring International Raceway. You want to get all the speed you can for the terrifying and treacherous turn 17, Sunset Bend. Use all the room on the outside. Get an apex early if that's what you want to do. Hit the gas early, get all the way to the grass, but don't hit it. And that was your track description for Sebring International Raceway. As there was the track guide narrated by yours truly, with a pretty awful lap, in my opinion, of the Sebring International Raceway. We have a couple minutes until warm-up begins, so Randy, if you would like to give a little background on this circuit, perhaps.
Yes, Sebring is a 17-turn, about 3.5 mile long, bumpy, ex-World War II airfield of a racetrack. It's been used since like the 40s. Mostly famous for the 12 Hours of Sebring, but it's hosted Formula 1 as well as other race series for sports cars, and we're going to be on it for an hour and 5 minutes today.
I know, being in an HPD for last week's race, I didn't run yesterday, the HPD has to pit once, and I'm not sure about the GTs. You yourself are a GT2 driver. How many times does the GT2 Ford have to pit?
All the GT cars have to pit once per race. And it's just a very short splash and dash. You won't see any like half tank, halfway, half, and then take another half trying to play a weight game, is because you end up spending too much time in the pit. So it's basically you start on a full tank, and then at any point really you come in, you take like 5 or 6 gallons of gas, and then you leave. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be at the end, but you won't see any tires. You won't see anything more than 5 or 6 gallons of fuel for the most part.
It's really odd for being an ex-World War II airfield that the tires are not eaten up, but that depending on how hard you drive it, you could tear the tires to bits. It all depends on the setup, really, of your race car and your driving style. As we have I believe we have a minute or two until the track opens for warm-up. As a
I
couple
believe the race split on us.
as a couple turns you have to look out for. Just starting out, turn 1. That's a very, very fast corner, as you saw in the HPD. It's one line, and if you don't get it right, you miss the apex, you're going to have fun playing around in the dirt. There's the hairpin, which is the tightest turn on the track. It's pretty much medium speed corners until the hairpin, so you have to really compromise on your setup. Well, you don't really have to compromise because that's the only slow corner, and if you set your car up for one slow corner, you're going to be screwed for the rest of the track. As tower turn, that's an interesting corner because you can use the curb to rotate the car, and you can clobber the inside curb to get the car to rotate. Le Mans corner is a...
You need to be really careful of that curb, though. That curb will get your car pogoing really fast. You hit that curb wrong, the car will just start bouncing up and down, and you'll spin. Tower turn is also interesting because it's kind of the apex of it. You kind of drop into it, and it's kind of banked. And then not only that, when you go into tower turn, it's asphalt, and then it's concrete, and then it's asphalt. So you have grip, and then you turn in, and then the grip goes away, and then you come off the corner, and then you have grip again. So it can be really, really hard to get right.
So the track is open for warm-up here. We're going to get footage here shortly for you, as it did split. So there's 2 splits here today. There's a 22-car race that we will cover for you on the Automotive Sports Network. So we are getting footage up here, getting ready to cover warm-up. Excuse me there. As I'm a bit under the weather, my English skills will not be very good, and I might sniffle and cough and whatnot. It's basic things you do when you're sick.
So I might actually get to talk?
Yes.
Damn.
So we are loading here, getting ready to go. We get a couple minutes of warm-up coverage.
Grid is fairly evenly spread out this time as opposed to last week. Got 6 cars in HPD, 7 in Corvette, and I think 8 Ford. So
it's a good field instead of 20-odd Fords. Real good field. So we're going to load up timing and scoring. And here we are. We are on track with a minute left to go here at Sebring in warm-up. Fastest in warm-up is, let's see, Paul Ilbert.
Nobody yet.
As my timing and scoring says.
You're looking at the grid, not warm-up. No one's posted a lap yet.
As, yeah, my timing and scoring lied to me.
This seems to be a pretty recurring theme.
Timing and scoring lied to me last week. Everything was broken last week, and it doesn't look like, knock on wood, we've encountered any issues so far. Glad you could join us here in the Automotive Sports Network for week number 4. As the first week we were in Okayama for the Fixed Series, then we decided to cover the Open Series at Motegi. Then we were at Brands Hatch last week, and today we are at Sebring for the first American round. Next week, I believe, we'll be at Watkins Glen, and you told me I will be alone in the commentary box for that race.
Yes, sir. I'll be running at VIR Grand West for 2.8 hours. It's going to be insane. It will be insane in the membrane.
So, happy hour is finishing up here. We have a good-sized grid.
Yep. Paul Ilbrink decides to come back. Probably took last week off because it was a DWC week. Should make sense.
So the field is gridding up here. So once we're going to find the front of the field here. So Paul Ilbrink is on pole in Prototype 2.
Yeah, him, Marco, and Mac are all within are just over a tenth between the three of them, so that should be a really tight race.
So here is the grid. On pole in Prototype 2 is Paul Ilbrink. Alongside him, Marco Acitiacano. In row number 2, we have Mac Backham and Andy Fuller. Row number 3, Andre Martins and Mert Urzel. That is your Prototype 2 field. On pole in GT1 is Florian Denard with William Levike. On row number 5, Eagle Sandfeld and Patrick Bieri. Row number 6, Levin Droikinen and Peter Ridley. Row number 7, Stefano Griali and Rupe Turkla, who is your pole sitter in GT2. Row number 8 has Jean-Paul Niehus and Oliver Brandt. Row number 9, Eric Vidorf and Amjed Yaman. Row number 10, Kevin Duell and Richard Soboleski. And row number 11 has Jonathan Hall and Mohamed Petil. So that is your grid for Sebring, round number 4 of the 2013 Season 2 iRacing.com Prototype and GT Challenge Series.
It is going to be a really interesting race. There's a lot of fast people. The Ford, you got Rupi, Jean-Paul, Oliver Brand, Eric Vidor, Ahmed Yaman, Richard Soboleski. I mean, almost the entire Ford field is just fast name. Corvette field is the same, and same with the HPD field. It's almost a rerun of the Neo Sebring race from a couple months ago. A lot of the same drivers.
As you see, the prototypes are away from the GT cars, as that's pretty much a gentleman's agreement, I would say, so the fields don't kill each other in turn 1. We have 5 prototypes on the grid. Mert Urzel, I believe, is in the pit lane. Let's go find him here. Yes, he is, starting from the pit lane. Honestly, that's not a very good idea, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, he likes to start around the tees, apparently, just to make it extra catchy.
As we will try and cover that for you. So Ilbrink is your pole sitter in Prototype 2. As my timing and scoring doesn't list any qualifying times, so if you could go through those, that'd be great.
Alright, pole for Paul Ilbrink with a 1:45.626. Second for Acitiacano with a 45.731. Third for Backham with a 45.742. And then Andy Fuller drops off to a 46 flat, and then Andy Martin is a 46.5. Mert Urzel did not qualify. GT1 pole sitter with a 54.08. William Levike, 54.2. Eagle Sandfield, 54.3. Patrick Bieri, 54.5. Levin Droikinen, 54.6. Peter Ridley, 54.7. And then Stefano Griali, 55.1. Ruben Turkla, 201.3. Jan-Paul Diaz with a 201.7. Oliver Brandt, 201.7. Eric Vidorf, 202.0. Ahmed Yaman, 202.0. Kevin Duell, 202.4. Richard Soboleski, 202.5. Jonathan Hall, 202.6. Mohamed Patel, 202. So, and they're coming down the long back straightaway. Before we start each class, who do you have to win?
I'm thinking Paul. I don't know. I can't really. Paul and Marco are going to have a nice battle in Prototype 2. Florian, I think, wasn't he the one that pulled away in GT1 last week?
So.
And I know that Rupe is a very, very fast driver, so my money's on him in GT2.
Now, Rupe's not only fast, Rupe can do something that a lot of other drivers can't. He can stretch the fuel without stopping. That is one of Rupe's calling cards. He is extraordinarily good on the gas, and he can.
So here we go.
Keep
Safety car is off. The prototypes roar out of Sunset Bend, and we are green at Sebring as Ilbrink leads them into turn number 1. As we're going to see GT1, Florian Denard crosses the line to lead them across to start their race, and Rupe Turkila leads GT2 across the line, so it's a relatively clean start for all 3 classes, knock on wood, as we go back.
They got to look out for this HPD that's coming through the pit lane.
Mert
Urzel, for some reason, is letting the entire GT field by.
We're going to have to keep an eye on him, Mert Urzel, the last prototype.
So everyone got through clean in every field, so Paul Hilbrink's off to a pretty good lead going through Fangio right now.
As he's trying to pull away from Mac Backham. It looks like Backham and Accidia Cano are battling. Side by side, the Italian gets the position. So it doesn't look like Backham wanted to battle that hard this early on in the race. There's still an hour and 4 minutes left to go.
Yeah, you can't put too much on the line too early. You don't want to let cars get too far ahead of you though either, because I mean, an hour is a long time, but it's not so long that you have a lot of time to make up any time you give up. As Florian Denard and William Levike and Nigel Sandfeld are kind of spacing themselves out from Stephen Jakonagin and Peter Ridley.
It's through Lamar Corner. It looks like Denard bit the inside curb. I noticed that in the HPD that helped the car rotate. Does it help the car rotate in the Ford?
Generally in the Ford you don't want to touch the curves at all. I generally will run over the exit curve sometimes, but the Ford doesn't take too kindly to the curb. So I generally stay off of them. As someone's do that making a move on Rupi. Jan Paul is trying to look up the inside right now, and that is close.
It's Jan
But
Paul
Rupi's able to hold him up.
Niehuis as he's trying to get the lead from the Finnish driver in GT2. Behind him is Oliver Brandt in that beautiful Falcon Tire livery. So the podium place battling hard in GT2.
Yeah, there's three big names up here. Yep. Rupi's won all sorts of stuff. Jan Paul won the Neo Spa race, which it was these classic cars, and Oliver Brandt is fast as well. He runs a lot of stuff. Fast in the Star Mazda. He's fast in this.
As we're going to go a little bit further back in GT2, Richard Soboleski has already clawed his way up to 4th place. I was going to say he is my pick to possibly win the race, as he is a really, really fast driver in the GT car. But he was starting way, way back. As you see, a couple, a Corvette is in the mix with, around goes Vidorf in the middle of the pack. Or that is Mohammed Patil, actually. So GT2, he has spun around, and Vidorf has damage, it looks like, on the left-hand side, or the right side, and Patrick Bieri is the Corvette in there. So Calamity in GT2.
Yeah, it just looks like Patel got on the curb there and just kicked him loose and spun him and Eric Vidorf, fortunately. Right now, this Mert Uzel, I don't know if he just doesn't practice, but he is really off the pace and is actually holding up the GT2 cars, which is not good. At least he was. For anyone that might be watching that does these races, if you're starting from the pits in the HPD, you're actually causing yourself more hassle and becoming more of a threat to yourself and others.
As starting from the pit lane in the HPD, you're in the fastest class car, and you have to slice your way through the GT cars as, oh, that's not a good idea. Oh boy, that's the reason why. As you
the thing with the HPD is you can't be hesitant. You either have to go or you don't. So if you look and take the slower car offline, you have to just go for it at that point. If he gives you the line, otherwise the other car will think, oh, you're hesitant, and then he'll start turning in, and then eventually you'll run into him and look like an idiot.
Yeah, and that'll end in tears for both parties involved. Urzel has cleared the GT2 battle for the lead. So we're going to stay on this for a little bit, as Tequila has been unable to pull away from Niehuis in car 4. As up to GT1, Denard is trying to catch Levike, but Levike is trying to pull away. Behind Denard is Eagle Sandfeld in car number 20.
Oh, Eagle spun through the corner there. Lost himself 3 spots, but he didn't hit the wall. That corner can kick the car loose.
As I could admit, I was paying attention to timing and scoring, trying to resort it, and I completely missed his spin.
Oh, you named off where he was before he spun, don't worry. No worries there, as right now William Levike he's got himself a pretty good gap, and Paul Ilbrink is doing the same. He's got himself a 8 or 9 car lengths gap to Marco Sidiacano, who has a pretty good gap to Mac Backham. Not sure what's happening there, but right now, couple early incidents. That one out of the hairpin, which took out a few cars. Patrick Vieri in the Corvette is saying he had an issue with his pedals and he just pulled out of the race.
As he has dropped to last overall, he has retired in car number 10. Paul Ilbrink has a 2.2 second lead, and it's hovering around there over Marco Sidiacano. Backham is a further 3.2 behind Sidiacano, and he is having a nice battle according to timing and scoring with Andy Fuller.
Yeah, they're about probably a half second between themselves, if I could guess. Okay. I don't have the timing and scoring up.
We're going to have inside William Levike's Corvette. We're going to have a little crank it up session, so turn up your speakers and enjoy the roar of the Corvette GT1. As I noticed there, Sunset Bend it seems like it's really, really difficult in the Corvette and the Ford GT. You can't carry a lot of speed and the bumps just kill.
One of the things about Sebring is when it comes to driving here, the two things you have to take into account. Bumps, and a lot of the corners you have to run a line that lends
side by side in Sunset Bend. I'm sorry to cut you off. Through the lead is Jan-Paul Niehuis in GT2, but car number 1, Tequila, is trying. He's getting the slipstream, looks to the inside in turn 1 as he's trying. No, he can't get it done. He dives it in. Are they side by side? Camera's lying to me. No, he holds the lead, but Oliver Brandt trying to take second in GT2. He's going to try the outside through turn 3, side by side as he's squeezed out. There's a really good battle in GT2.
Rupi gets loose out of turn 5 there, which
Brandt
give Oliver Brandt the spot. So I think Rupi's probably a little shaken that Jan-Paul tried it to turn 17. That's generally a not the best passing opportunity, but it can be done.
As we're going to go to GT1, it's pretty calm. It's Levike, Denard, Draconogen, Ridley, Guriali, Sandfeld, and there's Urzel in the P2 car trying to catch them. But those are the GT1 cars that are running, and they're pretty much single file. As the Sidiacano is now 1.6 seconds behind Ilbrink according to timing and scoring. So we are going to shuffle forward to the prototypes, and that is the gap for the overall lead, as it looks like they lapped, I believe that's Vierdorf.
Yeah, Vidorf had that early issue, I think.
He did have to take it to the pit lane to get the car fixed.
I'm not sure where he is. I don't think he's on track right now, actually. Oh, yeah, he is. He's coming out of the hairpin right now. I lied.
As we were talking before we went on air, turn 8, if you wreck in turn 8, you have to be special ed because it's a flat-out corner.
Yeah, it's Bandio chicane and really an easy flat.
So
you can go as the Cadillac World Challenge driver says, you can go flat out through there in a bus.
So we need another corner to crash in and make fun of each other in. for, well, next weekend, I'm not going to have you in the commentary box, so that will be fun. In 2 weeks, as I can admit, I did not pay attention to the schedule, so I don't know what is in 2 weeks. That's a City of Kano trying to get by Soboleski, as it looks like this is the GT2 field as they are lapping for the first time. That's
Jonathan Hall.
The P2 cars are catching the leading GT2 cars. We are on lap number 6, according to my timing and scoring. I would like to check with you, make sure it's lap 6.
Yep.
Okay, that's good.
Right.
Because
Paul Ilbrink has started lap 7. He's finished lap 7. You're right.
Because my timing and scoring says lap number 3, but Paul Ilbrink, it says he's led 6 laps. So we are about as 6 or 7 laps in, as we just went over, and they are now catching GT2, which is pretty normal.
Yeah, I'll probably start hitting GT1 here in about another 4 or 5, I would guess. Which is, in the GT1, the main difference between GT1 and GT2 is GT1 is just a little bit lighter and it's got more power, so. Downforce is about the same. As William Levike is got himself about a 2-second gap to Florian Denard in GT1's lead. Then it's another 4 seconds back to Liebinger Cornigen.
As here comes Ilbrink through to pass the P2 cars. As this is what you'd like to see. You'd like to see the GT2 cars holding their line and the P2 car find his way around. That's the way. He got held up.
Yeah, but that's alright. That Jan Paul didn't do anything wrong there. Had Paul gone for it, it would have been borderline on sort of a dive bomb.
It's the City of Kano wiggling out of turn number 5. That's a really tricky corner. If you get on the gas,
turn 5 is slippery.
If you get on the gas a little bit too early, you can loop the car. I actually spun the HPD for the first time in a long while in turn 5. I believe it was a couple days ago in the Fix series.
Yeah. Turn 5 is it's slippery to begin with, and if you exit too early, the curb is actually like 4 or 5 inches tall, as opposed to just basically being at the level of the track. So if you exit too early, like catch it with the back wheel, that curb is vicious, and it will just spin you around. It won't give any cares whatsoever.
As it
goes through.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I believe it's the City of Kano passing Jean Paul. So, no, it's not. That's Mac Backham.
As there's a couple lines through Tower Turn. I was paying attention to a City of Kano as he slipped out of turn 13. There's a couple lines. You can turn in early and clobber the inside curb of Tower Turn to get the car to rotate, or you could brake really, really heavily and it'll rotate the car. If you have the diff set right, it'll rotate the car, and it'll be really, really loose through that corner. That's what I was trying. I was trying multiple setup options. As you'll hear me talk about the HPD all the time, because I'm currently leading Division 3 prototype standings in both fixed and open. I wouldn't know anything about the Corvette or the Ford, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, generally, there might be a couple different lines, but it's generally try to stay away from that curb at all costs. I noticed, at least on the Ford.
Oh, Oliver Brandt sideways in turn 1. He clipped the dirt. Nearly snap spun, yep, as Rupi wants to take that spot.
Yeah, Rupi's going to see that, and he's going to start foaming at the mouth trying to get by.
And Jean-Paul Niehuis is loving this. He wants those two cars to battle. And in his mind, I know that he wants them to wreck so he can have a nice, clear, open track behind him, so he wouldn't have to worry about anyone trying to pass him, because he's got an open track in front of him.
Everyone always wishes their opponents would wreck, but no one would ever get to it.
Yes, because karma would get them, and then they themselves would wreck.
That must be why I wreck out of so many races.
Turn 8, yeah. I noticed Focusing on William Levike now, in the GT1, excuse me, Corvette. It seems like in the Corvette you'd have to double apex. You'd almost have to get close to the wall in the first apex, and then you have to get really, really close to the grass. So you have to turn that corner into a double apex. But in the HPD...
Turn 17?
Yeah, Sunset Bend, turn 17. In the
Turn 17 is interesting, because turn 17 is a corner that really doesn't have a line. If you've ever watched Pirates of the Caribbean, the line for turn 17 is a lot like the Pirate's Code. It's more like a guide, because that corner requires a lot of pedal dancing of brake, brake, gas, gas, brake, brake, gas, gas, and everyone gets through there a little bit different. Some people will run close to the wall on through the middle of the corner, like they'll. Most everyone will generally enter early, I know. And then some people will run close to the wall on inside, and they'll run the inside all the way through. Some people will run wide. This is for the GT cars. For the prototypes and the Formula cars, you generally enter late, and then through the middle of the corner you stay wide.
Because that's...
You clip late on exit.
As I noticed, my line in the track guide, focusing here, we're on board with Paul Ilbrink. We'll stay on board with him until Sunset Bend. In the Steel Series, I believe his sponsor is HPD ARX 01A as he slides through Tower
Team
Turn.
Radicals, same as Pablo GoPro Lopez, and he races in the Drivers' World Championship with him as well. And there's a few other drivers who I don't know their names with, but I've run on track with Paul.
Yes, he is a really fast driver. I remember my first encounter with him was at Road Atlanta in the practice, and I complimented someone's car because they had their national flag on the rear wing end plate, as that's something the drivers do in prototypes. And he says, "What about my car livery?" So I looked at it, and of course I thought it was cool. But here's Sunset Bend. You go way out wide. You go way, way, way on the outside of that white line, and you stay right in the middle of the track, get on the gas early, and slide out, almost touching the dirt, as ending lap number 10, I believe it was.
Yes, sir. But yeah, turn 17 is with a lot of Sebring. It's all about just navigating the bump and finding your favorite way through it.
Looks like Mertz has parked.
Yes, he has. I'm not sure what happened there.
So we have a car of every class out of the race. I noticed that Kevin Duell pitted for 31.4 seconds. I believe that was him exiting the pit lane. Yes, it was, when we were on board with Ilbrink. I
think he just pulled it. I didn't see him crash anywhere. Or
2.5 seconds to Asidio Cano from Ilbrink. Then it's 4 seconds from Levike to Denard. And GT2 is heating up as Brandt is right on the back of Tequila's car, as they have been going at it for, it's going to be 20 minutes now.
Yeah, since the start of the race. And yeah, Brandt and Tequila are both, really fast dudes in these cars. I haven't run with Brandt as much, but I've been in races with Groupie a lot, and he's put the stomping on me quite a few times.
As we have, there's another 22 cars racing. I believe it's split. It's really
yeah, it's split evenly, I believe.
As it's really nice that it's split, because I don't think we'd be able to manage 44 cars. As I'd probably cry myself to sleep.
Come on, man, YOLO.
While we have a bit of
YOLO, a swag life for me.
While we have a bit of time, you can check out our Facebook page.
Oh, Robert Sobleski just spun through turn 17.
Oh, we're gonna go.
Or no, that wasn't Sobleski. That was Kevin Duell, his teammate. Spun in front of one of the HPDs. We'll see who that was. That was Andre Martin.
So we're gonna go.
Yeah, he just caught the bump. He just caught a bump while he was on the grass or on the brake, and just spun the car around. Maybe a little bit too much rear bias. in the car, which you can adjust. You can adjust the bias forward and backward in these cars. Uh-oh. Something's happening.
As we're going through a replay here of Kevin Duell in turn 17. He gets way, way wide and slides it. He had it saved almost, but overcorrected.
Something happened to Yam Paul as well. I don't know what. But I mean, he's typing in the chat, "Oh no, never happened before," and he's gotten out of the car. I don't know what exactly happened.
Let's go back and take a look. Our replay picks him up when he's pitting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching him for the lap, and nothing. I don't know if he had a hardware trouble with pedals or something like that, but this puts Ruby Turkula in a... Someone said he blew a motor.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
So GT1 battle is now, as we join with an HPD off the track. As I'm trying to figure out who it was a City of Kano.
Where do you go off at? I missed. Oh, yeah.
We're going to go to GT2. Turkilla.
Oh, that was a hard
Brandt.
hit for him, too. That was a hard hit. He didn't just go off track. He hit the wall out of turn 5. I think he made up a lot of time on Ilbrink, and I think he just got a little impatient. Coming out of turn 5, he hit that tall curve, and it kicked him into the inside wall. But, yeah, what happened to Yam Paul, the GT2 who was leading, he just downshifted quick through turn 17, which is Sunset Bend in the last corner, and just blew his motor. And that's all she wrote.
Our replay picks up a City of Kano coming out of turn 17, going down the front straightaway. You see the Corvettes down there. He's trying to catch Ilbrink, pushing really, really hard. And I believe that was him in front as he was there with Paul Ilbrink. He was right on the rear wing of Paul Ilbrink. They were battling for the P2 lead. As we're going to see here, he turns into turn number 5, gets on the curb, snaps, and off the track, tire barrier for Marco Asidiakano. And you have to think, does he have suspension issues?
Yeah, his car is all crumpled. He's down the pit lane right now. This is the first chance he's gotten.
Looks like the steering wheel isn't straight. So we're going to see car number 12, Marco Asidiakano. He is now dropped to 5th overall in prototypes. He's going to pull into the pit lane. They're going to jack the car up. Let's see what they do.
He's going to have a good 30, 40 seconds at least there. Probably more. I mean, he had that wall hard. Fastest
lap of the race so far, Paul Ilbrink at a 1:46.8, and it's Asidiakano at a 1:47.0. Andy Fuller at 1:47.3. So Ilbrink is in a race of his own now after Asidiakano pushed too hard, got a wheel on the dirt, and clobbered the tire barrier in turn 6.
Yep. That's one of the many dangers of this circuit. Bumps, and there's a couple curves that can get you as HPD diving under Egil Sandfeld here in Towers Corner. As they quickly make their way to Bishop, I should say, not slowly.
As there's the gap with Martins and Asidiakano. It looks like Asidiakano is out of the pit lane.
Yeah, his body panels seem to be... Oh, no, never mind. I got a closer look. They're not any straighter, so I don't know if he shorted his repairs or they just didn't repair it. And Asidiakano is calling it quit. Coming to a stop. Pulling it off.
He has parked the car, so he is done here at Sebring.
Now here the question is, does Mac Backham have anything for Paul Ilbrink?
Backham is a fast guy. We battled at Brands Hatch, and I had a really hard time trying to hang on to him. He beat Paul Ilbrink at Brands Hatch. And
Paul Ilbrink didn't race at Brands Hatch, so of course he did.
As I can honestly say I wasn't paying attention to what you said, so I don't even know.
Well, are you talking about the toss split? Because Sebring didn't run the toss split.
There was a race.
He ran on Saturday.
I think that was the Saturday race.
I can't remember who won.
Yes, it was the Saturday race because I was in it. Ilbrink and Backham crashed. Ilbrink didn't have a front end, and I was trying my hardest to catch him, and I couldn't. Ilbrink finished third, but they were battling, and Backham beat him on pace, overall pace. I'm not sure here, as we're going to use the driver comparison, an 8.7 second gap between Ilbrink and Backham. Current standings roll across the top of your screen. We're about halfway through this race here at Sebring. Glad you could join us here in the Automotive Sports Network. To join the conversation, go to our Facebook page, fb.me/Automotive Sports Network, twitter.com/ASNTV_USA, #ASNTVUSA. You can watch all of our programs on demand at youtube.com/ASNTVUSA. Visit our site, asntvUSA.tk, for any inquiries about getting a broadcast. You could, there's guidelines on that page. You can look at them and then send your inquiry to asntvUSA@gmail.com. And I will be sure to answer it if I can broadcast your series to get it featured here on the Automotive Sports Network. Josh Mertz and Randy Chenowth up here in the commentary box for ASN, having a great time. And
well, you are.
A lot less stressful time compared to last week.
Yeah, everything seems to have gotten fairly spread out so far. That's kind of one of the drawbacks to what happens when the races do split. They're easy to cover, but they're spread out quite easily. As I think the closest battle is between Peter Ridley and Egil Stenfeld going into the hairpin right now. Shout outs to Egil for organizing the Neo event, which is what I'm going to be running in next week. As he's getting a run on Peter coming down into turn 10. And he makes the pass. Peter made that probably a little easier than he had to, but
is that GT1? As we're going to roll it back here and get a replay of the pass. Peter Ridley, I believe.
Yeah, he might be hoping Egil gets caught up in this traffic, but doesn't look like that's going to really happen.
Sandfeld on Ridley to the inside in Cunningham corner, and he got it. Nice pass. So GT1 is William Levike. He has a 6-second lead over Florian Denard in car number 13. And Turkilla has a 1.5-second gap over Oliver Brandt.
I believe that's the next closest battle right now.
As my timing and scoring hasn't listed any pit stops. So I don't think, aside from Duell and Acidiacano pitting because of their damage, I don't think anybody's in their pit window yet.
Someone came off a pit lane, but it was a Ford GT that I saw earlier, but I can't remember who it was.
It was Kevin Duell, and that was...
Was it Kevin Duell?
He had a 31.4-second stop. I believe he had some sort of damage.
Is that when he spun?
I believe so.
It might have been. I think this one was earlier, though. I can't remember. It might have been Sobolewski, but...
Timing and scoring isn't saying Sobolewski pitted, although timing and scoring does like to lie to me, apparently. Sometimes.
Most time.
Yes, most of the time. So, as we mentioned multiple times, next week I'm going to be alone in the commentary box. So if anyone is interested and would like to join me up here for the Automotive Sports Network, send an email to asntvUSA@gmail.com. And I will reply, as next week, if I don't have anyone to help me out in the commentary box, it's going to be a little bit difficult to do things. As Randy, you are doing a fantastic job helping me out with multi-class racing, as I have a hard time covering a single class of cars, much less 3 classes.
And easy peasy.
As a little bit of an update here, we were planning really hard to get our custom ASN graphics package working for today's race. We were working late into the night yesterday, and that did not come to fruition. We will hope, as I have a checklist here. The checklist for today was to make sure we didn't have any issues. I don't think we're having any issues. The checklist for next week at Watkins Glen is to get our custom graphics package, and the week after that is to be able to cover 3 classes at once. Although I checked that off today. But you would have to say that I did, because I don't think I could check that off myself. It's all about the viewers approving of what I do.
As Jonathan Hall pulled out, I do believe. He won last week. I don't know what happened. I think he had an issue with his wheel.
Trying to find him on timing and scoring. See if we can find a replay here. The replay I have. Let's try another 60 seconds ago on our replay feature here. Here he is, and let's see. Oh, he runs it wide. Oh, I think there might have been.
He had an issue with the GT1 car.
He ran it wide in Bishop Bend and just parked it.
No, it was before that. Stefano Giriali went up the inside of him going into tower. I mean, it was a legitimate move. I mean, Stefano, that's a corner you can pass in. And I don't know if Jonathan just ran him a little too tight, or Stefano didn't run him wide. I'd account that to not giving proper racing room, to be honest.
Because this race has been much cleaner compared to the previous week. Last week was attrition filled, and this, I would say this is a proper racing circuit. Obviously, because the 12 Hours of Sebring has run here every single year, compared to Brands Hatch. I mean, Brands Hatch, you needed balls of steel to race in the HPD flat out by yourself. But you throw on a bunch of other cars, and it just becomes a huge mess. But this track, I think it's just because it's wide enough and there's not enough runoff and such that it's just a really nice circuit to race on, even if there isn't a lot of elevation change.
Yeah, the bumps tend to make up for any lack of elevation change. Well, I mean, there's definitely an elevation change on Sebring. It's just very small and very rough, as opposed to some tracks like Baugh or Brands Hatch or Mosport, where it's slow, drawn out, and very dramatic. But yeah, there's generally less issues between the classes here as opposed to some of those other tracks, which some people will complain about and will say, "Oh, it's unfit," or yada yada yada, and I wouldn't say that's the case. I would say there's no such thing as a safe track for multi-class. Unless you want to go on a straightaway that's 30 miles long, 10 miles wide.
And I'm pretty sure people would still find a way to crash on that thing.
This is iRacing we're talking about, so yeah. People will find a way to crash anyway.
Here's Paul Obrink on lap number 20, I believe.
Yes, sir. I believe Max closed in a little bit, but not much.
Gap is still 6 seconds. We're tracking Paul's lap time here, as the HPD is a really fun car to drive, and it's really, really, really fun and rewarding when you drive it fast. And there's tips and tricks that you can do to try and get faster. I have not personally figured them out. As through Lamar corner and down the Ullman straight goes Paul Ilbrink, leading with 29.5 minutes left to go here in the Prototype and GT Challenge. As I believe that's Mac Backham exiting Lamar corner, so that is the gap. We're going to see here on this lap for Paul Ilbrink. See how far he has a gap at the line, 146.7. So that was his fastest lap of the race. What a lap to pick the lap time box.
Know how to pick him, yeah. And he stretched out about 3/4 of a second on Mac that lap. I don't know if Mac was in traffic and Paul wasn't, or...
Well, I saw down the Ullman straightaway, it was just Ilbrink, Backham, and Fuller. As Fuller is really, or not really close, as I got mixed up on my timing and scoring. The gap is 6.7 from Ilbrink to Backham, and then it's another 7 to Fuller, as P2 is pretty much settled, but we have a nice battle between Seidfeld and Draconogen in GT1, as these two have caught Oliver Brandt.
And right behind him is Peter Ridley. He's for position as well. He's probably about a second back. But I'm not sure if they're going to catch Rupee before turn 1 or not. If they do, it won't really affect anything. But if Rupee is able to get to turn 1, it'll be interesting to see what happens in terms of the traffic. Might bunch Peter Ridley up a little bit more with them.
As you see the GT2 car flashing his lights, we don't have flashing headlights, but you can tap your brakes 100 million times. That's a signal that says, pass me, pass me, pass me.
Mm-hmm. Definitely a well-advised thing to do. A little bit of communication always helps.
Leading in GT1 is William Levike with a 9-second gap over Florian Denard. As
yeah, William is running away with it.
Turkilla has a 1.3-second gap over Brandt. As these two were caught by the GT1 cars, and that has fused their battle back together.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Rupee was stretching it out a bit. We'll see if he's able to keep that gap or stretch upon it, or if Oliver's able to reel him in.
So we're just reaching the 26-minute left to go mark. Who are your picks for the 3 classes?
Ilbrink, Levike, Brandt.
As I would have to agree, as Acidia Kano is out, so Ilbrink, I mean, this is going to sound awful, but Backham just isn't on the pace today. He has actually pitted, as my timing and scoring update, 17.2 seconds in the pits. So he pitted, so we'll see when Ilbrink has to pit, but Ilbrink is in a class of his own. That's the further saying that they should include a P1 class for the pro and really upper A class drivers.
Called the William.
Yes, but I would still like for say a Peugeot or an Audi from 2010 to be included, as that would be a closed cockpit prototype. That would be a blast to drive. But anyway, Ilbrink, Levike, and I think Rupee's going to hold him off. I think he's going to hold Brandt off.
They'll come down to the pits. They both had their fair share of pickups during the race, as we saw Rupee give up the lead to John Paul early on, but John Paul ended up blowing his motor, so kind of lost that. But we'll see. Traffic can definitely play a pretty hefty part here in these last 20 minutes.
As the race is not over until the fat lady sings. I think I got that saying right. I hope I did. As
there's still a pit stop to worry about too.
Yeah, we still have pit stops.
So
if anything
someone's
can happen.
saving a little bit of fuel, Oliver's going to have that draft. He might be able to save a bit of fuel every lap, get a slightly shorter pit stop. without really risking or sacrificing too much in terms of lap times.
As I'm going to reshuffle timing and scoring, we're going to go through the order is going across the top of your screen, but I will give you an order here. Paul Ilbrink leading in P2 from Andy Fuller, Andre Martins, and Mac Backham. Your leader in GT1 is William Levike, then Florian Denard, Eagle Sandfeld, Lieven Draconogen, Peter Ridley, and Stefano Guriali. Rupe Tequila is your leader in GT2. Oliver Brandt, Richard Soboleski, Amjad Yamin. Car around, car 21, that is Guriali in GT1. Looks like he has damage, but he's going again. And then Kevin Duell is the last car running in 15th overall. Backham is in 4th in P2 because he pitted, as my timing and scoring didn't update when he pitted. So we'll see if Fuller is going to pit, or Ilbrink, or Martins.
I don't know what happened to Guriali there. He just screwed up tower turn. Just cut across the grass on the inside, spun on the outside, and then sat on the outside for like 20 seconds, just spinning around, trying to get the car faced the right way.
As it's really discouraging, I know this firsthand, and you should too. Every racing driver should. When you're pushing really, really hard, maybe a City Econo felt this, when you're pushing really, really, really hard, really close to getting a position, even the lead, or second, or third, or whatever position it is, but you're really pushing hard, and then you just spin, or do something, and it just, I know for me, it just makes me think, why in the hell did I just do this? Because I just wasted my time.
I usually just avert all blame onto myself and just yell about the tire model.
That is also good.
Yeah, see? You're causing yourself mental issues. What did I do?
You blamed
I blamed it on Soon.
And Dave Kammer, or just Soon?
Soon.
Well, Dave Kammer is a genius man. This tire model is much better than the NR 2003 tire model, I have to say.
I didn't play NR 2003, so no comment.
You don't want to. It's a joke.
There are about 1 million NASCAR fans that are foaming at the mouth right now.
Well, there's a big row going through the community. I'm not going to go into any details, but we are unintentionally sponsoring about 5 people in the Super Speedway, Saturday Night Super Speedway League. So we shall talk about it off air if you'd like. Anyway, 22 minutes left to go.
I have no idea what this league is.
Yeah, we'll go over it. Cars in the pit lane, GT1, car 14, that's Draconogen, and then, yeah, that's Sandfeld, I believe. So they are pitting.
Sandfeld? In the, I'm not sure if he has a team or if he's self-sponsored or... Got all sorts of stickers on that car. Part of iRacing Denmark, I do believe. Scandinavia, I believe. Denmark, Scandinavia. I don't know my European geography. I can tell you that Normandy's in France and Hitler's in Germany, but that's what the History Channel taught me.
So, pitting, Andy Fuller and Martins. So, P2 is shaking up. Backham has gone through to second in prototypes. Fuller out of the pit lane. Martins is still in the pit lane. I believe he's getting tires. That's not a good idea. Exiting the pit lane is Martins in car 16. So now we're going to pay attention to Paul Ilbrink and see if he's going to pit.
Yeah, if Martins took tires, he might have just had his... He probably just had his pit options wrong. He probably didn't intentionally do that, because the default is to take tires. And just a tip for you guys, for anyone that does the Proto GT races and constantly forgets that, just do it at the very, very beginning of the race when you're sitting on the grid. Check your tires off, you can set your fuel. Sitting right there, you don't even got to remember it or think about it.
Ilbrink through Sunset Bend for another lap.
Yeah.
20 minutes to go, waiting for him to pit.
Yeah, Paul is checked out.
From high above the blimp camera, you can see this beautiful circuit as the layout has changed slightly, but pretty much the signature areas of this track, the runways, haven't changed since 1942, I believe, when it was an Air Force airport for World War II. And those signature runways can rattle your teeth, and they make for some of the best racing in all of road racing.
Yeah, if you have an unsatisfied girlfriend, just take her for a few laps around Sebring and she'll be all set. You'll be fine. Everyone will be happy.
As I believe we're looking from the blimp camera, that's the pit lane for the club circuit, although I'm probably wrong.
Who are you watching?
We were watching Ilbrink as he was going through turn 10. As I look at the track map, that
Did
was...
someone just blow a motor? Oliver Brandt just blew his motor. Going into the hairpin.
Let's find him here.
Downshifting too fast.
He blew
Same
it.
thing happened to Jan Paul. That's two drivers in That is terrible luck. He was running second too. He's running great.
We're inside Oliver Brandt's car going in. As we're going into turn number 7 on this replay. Look at all the grime on his windshield. As you hear it go there, the engine expired as it. You heard the explosion that it is. As now he's sitting in the pit lane. Sad to see Oliver Brandt in pit lane, as he was your pick to win.
Yeah. I noticed it earlier on. Someone posted videos of some races from earlier in the week. Some people were rifling down the gears really, really quick. I mean, I've had issues in the past, but I haven't had an issue in a long time. I think some people just get borderline impatient with it. I mean, I know Oliver runs he runs the Star Mazda, and I don't know if he runs any of the other open wheelers. That I know you can rifle down the gears in those things really, really, really fast.
I know in the Williams, and I drove the Star Mazda a couple seasons ago for 2 races, and I don't exactly remember the Star Mazda, but I know in the Williams and the HPD, it's pretty much impossible to blow your engine because they have rev limiters. I know in the HPD firsthand, obviously, because I'm running for the championship, it won't downshift unless you're at a certain amount of revs. So you wouldn't have to worry about blowing your engine. You'd only have to worry about spinning or crashing into a wall. Or crashing into other people, like we learned.
Yeah, the Williams is basically just brake and then you downshift as fast as you possibly can to
Ilbrink pitting! Ilbrink, your leader overall, is pitting in car number 2. So we're going to see he's heading down the pit lane here at 7.
Oh, they're wrecking in front of Mac Backham. Adel Sandfeld and...
Leaving Draconogen.
Yeah, he was a Draconogen. I think that,
So we're going to find a replay here of this wreck while Ilbrink is in the pit lane as they were battling for GT1 as he got spun, as I think that's Sandfeld that he got spun by.
No, he spun himself. He spun himself across Sandfeld's nose. I mean, Egil was...
We're going to find Mac Backham here. Ilbrink has left the pit lane. He only had a splash of fuel, so he is in control.
Yeah, that's all on your point engine there. He spun himself. There's nothing Egil could do.
So as Draconogen has now retired the car.
Yeah, I might have had a little rear end damage. So no, it took a while, but this attrition sure has kicked up. Especially, I mean, considering there's only about 10 minutes left.
There are 15 left, and the oval guys say cautions breed cautions, but there's no cautions on the roadside. You could say attrition breeds attrition as the field is just dropping away. There's 5 Corvettes, 4 Fords, and 4 prototypes, and we started with 22 cars. It can't be as bad as last week, where I believe it was Peter Ridley on the overall podium. As 12th and 13th in prototype, or GT2. As this is a battle, inter-class battle, but it's overall. It was Guriali with Yaman, but I believe Guriali just left the pit lane, so that's why, and now Yaman is going to be left in the exhaust of the Corvette. As while you were mentioning that the Corvette is lighter and faster than the Ford, in the Open Series race on Wednesday night for the Americans, I was in that race. I finished second. That's irrelevant, though. That makes me sound arrogant.
Well, you were. Oh.
Yes. I was being. You normally think in an HPD you can just fly past the GT cars. Well, I was in a drag race with a Corvette, and the Corvette actually beat me down the Ullman Straight. It was a drag race, and he beat me in a drag race. I was going to cry, but then I just passed him in Sunset Bend, so it's perfectly fine.
I would check your downforce levels. I don't think you should be having that problem. I know that they would a few builds ago, but I don't think it's so anymore. So I would definitely do some investigating.
That requires effort. I don't really like to put effort in.
Oh, believe me, we can tell.
Thank you. Thank you. If you were actually hired, I would have fired you, but you're just... I don't even know what to call you. You're just a guy that shows up and commentates. You're a freelance. There you go, freelance.
I'm Daryl Waltrip. No one knows what to call me.
No, just get out of my commentary box if you're going to call yourself Daryl Waltrip. I don't want him associated.
Boogity.
Just, no, get out of the commentary box.
Oh, I'm owing at the Indy 500. Someone went through the grass.
Yeah, that's been running.
Yeah, that's been running.
171 laps complete. I hope this gets done before that gets done, because I want to see someone choke in turn 4.
They're not gonna pull 29 laps in 8 minutes.
Who knows? Maybe they have warp speed.
As everything's pretty much spread out here, there's not really.
Yeah, there's not really much to talk about. I see on pit lane a couple of the crews have packed up and left. That none of the fans obviously have left because they don't move.
Man, they probably got Mexicans working for them. They got packed up that quick. And that is admirable.
Now I'm gonna have a bunch of people burning my house down and my studio down because you were racist on the broadcast. Thank you.
It's okay because your computer is gonna get overwhelmed to burn your house down anyways.
Yeah.
So I figured,
like last week.
if it's gonna happen, you might as well make the news and be able to file it as a hate crime and sue them and make you take all their pesos. Yep. As Peter Ridley is leading GT1 though, I don't know how that happened.
As I think it was William Levike that was leading, correct? Ridley has not pitted yet. Ridley has not pitted.
Okay, this makes sense then. Which actually, if Peter Ridley could stretch his fuel, if this is what he's been doing this entire race, he might be in a really, really good spot right now. He's got about a 3 or 4 corner advantage.
10.3 seconds over William Levike.
Yeah, just translate that into corner time, and you see what I said was right. Basically, the entirety of Sunset Bend is the gap.
I think Guriali has some sort of engine issue because Turkila has not been completely blown away by the Corvette. He's still within a second in the corners.
I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. Oh, Peter Ridley just came down pit lane, so
Peter
there
Ridley
goes all
pitted,
that hyping.
And here comes Levike. He passes the Ford, and there's Peter Ridley on the inside. Lead change in GT1. He tried, but he got 10 minutes short. Peter Ridley now drops to third in GT1 with Florian Denard 5.5 seconds behind William Levike.
Egel's going to come out pretty close to Peter. Egel and Peter really came out side by side. This is battle for the last podium spot. Florian Denard and William LeViger both up the road. So, battle for third is on between Egel and Peter. As Peter might actually be feeling really sketchy around Egel, even though Peter, I think it was, spun himself. That might have been leaving the corner, didn't know, I'm thinking of.
Lap 176 of the Indy 500. And Carlos Munoz is in third. Wow. The broadcast is pretty much calming down. It's spread out. We have 13 cars running.
Battle for third man. Third and GT1. Or did I screw up? I might have screwed up.
It's Ridley and Sandfeld for the last podium spot in GT1. You were correct. As we are now on lap number 30, ending 31, I believe. If you could.
They are on 29. They're going to be starting 30. Paul Ilbrink is on 32. On lap 29 in GT1.
Look at Ridley. He pulled to the inside to try and break the slipstream. A 2-car length advantage between him and Sandfeld for the last podium spot. As Sandfeld got close, he breaks a lot later, slipping and sliding, entering Sunset Bend. As right where the shadow is for the bridge, there is a really, really huge bump, and that makes it really fun to drive.
I think Egel's going to have a bit of a run in one. He might be able to try something.
Slipstream going down to the one. He looks to the inside. He's trying side by side. He overruns the corner. Will Ridley give it to him? Position change. Sandfeld goes to third in GT1.
Yeah, Peter was really, really kind there. He could have run him a little tighter, but decided not to. It'll be interesting to see how he fights back. He might see that there's traffic behind him and might be kind of depending on that. Because even though the faster cars usually dictate, the slower cars are generally smart enough. The good drivers are generally smart enough to know how to use faster cars as a pick and make passes. Actually, has Max pit? He's a second and a half off Paul Ilbrink. So Paul might have had an issue.
I believe Paul had an issue. Keep an eye on this as I'm going to try and find a replay of what happened to Paul Ilbrink.
Whatever it's been a while.
As the replay I found doesn't include that, so we're just going to keep our eyes on this battle in Prototype 2 in the closing stages of round number 4 as Ilbrink's got damage on his rear wing. His rear right end plate.
I'm looking to see what happened.
He's got damage. This is what Mac Backham wants to see. Backham trying to get 2 wins for 2 as Ilbrink goes to the inside, blocking, trying to break the slipstream, going down into turn 7. Trying the outside line is Mac Backham. He's there. He's trying. He looks to the inside. Through turn 8, the Fangio chicane. They're side by side for Prototype 2. As Ilbrink holds the lead to the inside, goes Backham into Cunningham corner. Who's going to budge? Still side by side. He's not letting up. Through turn 11, it's Collier. Carved through to the lead is Mac Backham in Prototype 2. But Ilbrink's not going to give up. He wiggled under braking. I think he just realized that the race is gone. But Andy Fuller's here too. So the prototype and overall podium is under a blanket. After an hour of racing, can you believe that they're still here?
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know what happened to Paul. I couldn't find it, but it's just terrible luck, whatever.
As it's the second week in a row that Paul Ilbrink gets wrecked. I couldn't find the replay on my monitor, so I apologize for you folks. But we know that... Oh, he's sliding! He's got some sort of suspension damage, perhaps. Not just wing damage, it's suspension damage. Fuller drops to the inside as Ilbrink nearly lost it entering Sunset Bend. What car control by the pro driver, but there is definitely suspension issues that hurts the car in right-hand corners as he's perfectly fine.
I found it.
in left turns.
I found it.
Oh, Fuller looks to the inside.
Going through turn 10, the corner after the hairpin, he just coming out of the corner. He got on the gas hot and kicked it loose and spun the car into the wall. Not enough to end his race, but certainly enough to ruin it.
He's still on the podium though, even if Andy Fuller passes him, so he'll still get to drink the champagne at the end of the race. But Andre Martins is 50 seconds behind these guys. He is coming off at Sunset Bend.
Yeah, Andre's not going to catch him unless Paul makes a mistake. As Paul lets Andy Fuller go.
As Paul,
none more he could do.
As he dives to the inside, he's not giving up. Through tower turn, got on the curb, nearly. Crashes into him as he's there is suspension damage. Really, really bad for the right-hand corners. As I think it would be a smart idea to pit. He's got a 50-second buffer over Andre Martins. So I think it would be a smart idea to try and pit. But you got to think about it this way. If he goes to pit lane, will the pit crew think the car's safe?
Well, he's only got about one more lap left anyways. So, I mean, yeah, he could pit and he'd have a better car, but his gap would be gone, or he wouldn't be close to the cars ahead of him anyways.
Oh, he's sideways! There is suspension damage, and I don't think how he can hold this for very long.
He doesn't have to, thankfully.
Well,
a couple more laps.
Well, if he wants to finish on the podium, he would, but the gap's still 50 seconds. There's a battle between Sandfeld and Ridley still for the podium position, but GT2 is pretty much solved. P2 is pretty much solved, so the only battle on the track is GT1 for third. The man who got on the overall podium, Peter Ridley, trying to get on the GT1 podium, battling Sandfeld. Excuse me. Let's go through the fastest laps of the race here. Paul Ilbrink ran a 1:46.755. I think that was the lap that we turned on the lap button. So he is 0.3 of a second faster than Andy Fuller and Marco Acitiacano, who ran 1:47 dead. Backham ran a 1:47.1. So Ilbrink had the pace, but he was trying to push further and further and further away, and that's what bit him.
Yeah, kind of maybe call it the Ayrton Senna disease. Because Senna did the same thing one time, or I think a couple times at Monaco. Had a huge lead.
In 1988. He had such a huge lead. His crew came over the radio and told him, "You're so far ahead, stop pushing." That's not exactly correct, but it's close. They told him to stop pushing, and he crashed in Poitiers. Went to his apartment and didn't come out for several hours. As I watched the Senna documentary for the third time in my life yesterday on the NBC Sports Network, so that's how I would know.
Nerd.
Yes, that documentary never gets old. Ayrton Senna is a legend.
As the next lap, or this might be, is this the last lap or is it the next?
Backham
should be close.
Backham, we have 40 seconds left to go. I believe this will be the last lap. He can't get back in time. So half a minute left to go, and this is the last lap because he won't be able to get back in time. So Mac Backham, you could say he either lucks into a win or he just, I don't know if you could say anything else other than luck into a win, because Ilbrink crashed again. This time, because last week at Brands, it was a fishy situation. I couldn't check the tape, but they were battling hard, and I think Ilbrink went off the track and crashed. He was forced off, but I'm not exactly sure. Don't hold me to that. But as time expires, last lap for Mac Backham in the HPD ARX 01C, the self-sponsored Mac Backham car. As I'm pretty sure you can tell who he is if it has his name on the side of the car. As he's going to come down the Omen Straight for the final time. He's got a 2.5 second advantage over Andy Fuller. What are your final thoughts as Backham goes down the Omen Straight?
He just needs to get through this last corner clean, and he's got in the books.
as he comes around Sunset Bend. He's going to be enthused in the cockpit as he's beaten Paul Ilbrink again. Mac Backham is your victor here at Sebring for round 4, as he did the little victory slide there. A slide, that's a different word. My vocabulary failed me at that second. It's the victory swerve. There you go. Fuller second. Ilbrink still on the podium.
Like I said before we got on air, my grammar.
As Andre Martins, 4th place in Prototype 2. Levike going down the Ullman straightaway. 7-second advantage over Florian Denard, as this race has been incredible. Plenty of passing, plenty of drama, a broadcast that did not fall apart, as that's what I'm proud about. As here comes Levike to take victory in GT1. And Sandfeld's going to hold him off for the GT1 podium spot, and Rupe Turkila is your winner in GT2. So what a battle here at Sebring. So let's go through the results here. After 36 laps, Mac Backham is your winner in car number 19. Then it's Andy Fuller who wins, who is in second, wins the second spot, you could say. Paul Ilbrink, 3rd place, still on the podium. Andre Martins, your last car running in Prototype 2. Says that Peter Ridley, it's saying that Peter Ridley has won GT1. Is my timing and scoring correct?
No. GT1, we have William Levike, Florian Denard, Edgel Sandfeld, Peter Ridley, and Stefano Giriali, and DNF is Lieven Jokonijan and Patrick Vieri. GT2, Rupi Turkila, Richard Soboleski, Ahmed Yaman, Kevin Dewell, Oliver Brand, Jonathan Hall, Jan Paul Nias, Muhammad Patel, and Eric Vidor. And there are 9 laps to go in the Indianapolis 500.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this broadcast of the iRacing.com Prototype and GT Challenge Series here at Sebring, as we had a hell of a race here. Congratulations to Mac Backham, William Levike, and Rupe Turkila, winners in Prototype 2, GT1, and GT2. Next week we'll be in Watkins Glen. I'll be all alone unless someone helps me out, so asnTVUSA@gmail.com if you're interested. fb.me/automotive sports network and twitter.com/asntv_USA for more information. For Randy Chenowth, I'm Josh Mertz. Thank you to Victor Valley, the creative producer. We'll see you next week at Watkins Glen, but until then, so long, everyone.